forward, talk a little bit more about the mental side of hitting and understanding what exactly an approach is. It's not complicated. An approach is nothing more than a plan, all right? And when we're putting together our plan, what we're doing, we're trying to assess our strengths, our weaknesses, and the opposition, what his strengths and his weaknesses are. So for me, my approach, usually, if you're going to come into the cage and work, you're still working on your strengths, and you're still taking the time to address your weaknesses. So when we have an approach in here, sometimes it might be a little bit different than what we are in the game, because now we're dealing with a contingency, an outside force that's going to probably make some type of change to the plan or the approach that we have. But an approach is nothing more than a plan. For me, my approach, I base my approach on my weakness as a hitter. My weakness as a hitter is here. For me, anytime I struggle, it's because I don't feel like I have enough time. So what do? When I come in the cage and I'm working on my weakness, that's what I'm trying to address. I'm trying to get myself more comfortable and make myself feel like I have more time. I like to work backside gap because that forces me to have to let the ball travel a little bit more. That way I can get to the inside and barrel that ball up consistently. I know that when I get into games, I'm a better hitter when I hit in an advantage count. But when I get in an advantage count and I know that pitcher has to pitch to me, then I get a little bit anxious, and that timing in my head begins to kick in. Okay, I've got to make sure I let it get close enough for me to be able to hammer the ball hard. Let me give it some time. So I use my practice. My practice approach is to gain confidence and let the ball travel so I can drive the baseball, because I know I can get to the inside pitch. My lack of confidence stems from the outside part of the plate and giving myself enough time to be able to drive that pitch. So when you go into a game, it is going to depend on what type of pitcher that you're facing at the time. So if I'm facing a pitcher that throws a little bit slower, I don't move around in the box. Only thing I do is I shift my approach. So I'm going to shift my approach if I know I lack the confidence in time and that guy throws extremely slow. I might shift my mentality, my approach, my plan to the left field line. That way, if I am a little bit early, it gets me back into the gap. If I'm facing a guy that throws about average speed, probably average, maybe a little bit higher, I'm going to shift my focus to the backside gap. If I'm facing a guy that throws a little bit harder, I'm going to shift my approach, my focus to the middle of the field. That way, if I am a little bit early, I can pull him in that gap. I can pull him out of the park. From a little bit late, I can still bang into the backside gap. So make sure your approach is your plan. Make sure your plan serves a purpose. Okay? So me, I like to set the ball up backside gap. And this is where I like to work. Work on developing that time, stay inside, and working through baseballs.